What's up, YouTube? Caller221 here. Welcome back to another Company of Heroes 2 online replay. This is now a 2 vs 2. That's in the map Smiski Winter. Now, this was originally a Company of Heroes 1 map that I really liked. Me and Juicebox, we were doing proper English. Juicebox and I were we actually had a gameplay on this right before the patch came out. And I was going to show you guys it. But with the patch, it just wiped out my replays. So it's kind of like I got the replays, I got to record them, right? So we are not the Germans, actually. I'm the Russians. I feel like I was bringing you too many German replays. So our opponents are Nuke Papa and NSA Smurf. They're going to immediately start off with building the basic infantry company. I'm going to start off with, I've been going back and forth. I'm trying to really mess with my Russian strategies. Like, as the Russians, you can either build a special rifle command, which gives me penal troops, which you guys know I love. I love the scout cars. They're very good for overcoming German heavy support defenses. You got some snipers. Snipers in the other game can either backfire on you if they get caught by a machine gun. So I'm going to go a pretty heavy machine gun start. So I was talking to Juicebox on the mic here, and we're going to come up with a plan to hold this town. Now Juicebox is going to hold primarily the center of the town, try to hold this, while my main duty was to control this whole northern area. Yeah, and it's snowy too. So one of the biggest fights we're going to be fighting over is this fuel cache here, and this will turn into, see even a fuel barrel, that's pretty sweet. This will turn into like massive fight here. As you can see, these guys are massive pioneers. These guys are going to go massive infantry. So the video title for this is going to be countering Panzer Grenadier, countering infantry spams, or somewhere along the lines of grenadiers, because these guys are going to produce tons of grenadiers. And they got snipers out. Like, so they have snipers, they got machine guns, they are just heavy tier 1. Now, and I believe it was part 4, or not part 4, it was my replay number 4 for Company Heroes, where I did a 2 heavy tier 1 start with my bunkers on the map steps. And the basic Russian, just, you know, kind of wasn't trying too hard, and then he got out tanks, and I just got completely overwhelmed. So keep in mind, this is kind of the opposite of what my situation was. I showed you my mistake of going too heavy tier 1. Also, this is kind of like a really cool hedgerow. Kind of like, I'm not sure there were hedgerows in Russia around this time. But either way, I got my machine gun in heavy cover here. And they're starting to take down some of these Panzer Grenadiers. These guys are actually going to crawl right into the house, which is a little unrealistic, I think. But I don't have Molotovs or anything. I'm going to save my fuel. And I'm getting another machine gun coming up here. My goal is to, like, I want to support this here. I'm going to have some mortars around the road here. And my plan is to pretty much destroy this stronghold here and keep them off. Meanwhile, I'm kind of thinking about how I'm going to start mining. Not just yet, but I'm going to try to mine a lot of these choke points here. I mean, obviously you can get through the bushes here, and there's a pathway up here. So I'm going to mine a little bit of that later. But I'm completely fine with having my guys just, you know, it almost sounded like a thing got thrown there. So Juicebox is engaging with Nuke Papa here. I do have the player colors on. That was a good suggestion by some of you, so you guys can tell the different players. I'm blue, Juicebox is yellow, Papa's red, and purple is Smurf. So my guys aren't really taking any casualties. You know, considering they are... I'm moving over these guys to flank here also. Considering these guys are in a house, maybe I'm helping out with that. Juicebox, who's fighting a lot of urban combat here, he must have got the... Yeah, he has the Molotov cocktails. That's a very good... for the amount of bullets he was using and stuff, that's very good. He even sees a sniper heading toward my way, which is a good call by some of these guys, but he's just going to charge right after him. He's going to spot him, and he's going to try to kill him. Unfortunately, he goes invisible again, so Juicebox can't see him. He's just going to bypass him. He wants to get rid of that sniper and help protect me a little bit. Meanwhile, my conscripts are just kind of... They're kind of getting killed and kind of dying, just like that guy. Luckily, I got a mortar, though, that I was able to set up, and it's a 82mm, which is roughly roughly the size of the German one. So these guys got in the house here, and I got another machine gun. I figured I want to move my machine gun up here so I can at least take this victory point away from them. And for some reason, I think Smurf forgot about these guys. At this point, after losing 3 of my my engineers here, I decided to pull them back. So now I have this guy. So here's the counter-infantry spam, right? You have the Russians. The Germans have decided to get a bunch of Panzer Grenadiers. They've decided to get Grenadiers with light machine guns. All you have to do is get enough machine guns to hold your points. That's all you have to do. Get enough machine guns to hold your points. And get some mortars. Now you're going to see I went guard coordinated tactics here. I believe that's what it's called. It's like one of the first doctrines from, I believe, the beta, actually. And I get a mortar, guard rifleman, mark vehicle, T-3045s. I did not use any of the recruit training. And by the way, once again, like, unless he's using these guys to spot, you should get them out of there. You know they were pinned down. So he's got his 8cm mortar, which is roughly 80. So that mortar is roughly the same size as this. Yeah, roughly, if we do some math here. I have these guys in the open, which is a mistake on my part, because I should have pulled them into the house, because that would have been a lot more effective, and they're in the middle of the open. And so these guys are getting massacred, so I need to pull these guys back. Now I'm going to risk losing this and giving heavy weapons to the enemy. As you can see, I pulled them back. We're going to leave some of our comrades that are dead and dying, unfortunately. So they're really going after this field, which their main strategy right now is, you know, churn out as many infantry as they can. You can see let's go look at, you know, let's look at the fog of war, obviously. Yeah, they've enemy escalated to that. They're just really they seem to be just focusing on their infantry, and they don't even have, like, they haven't chosen doctrine yet, and they're both in tier 1, so they can elect that light mechanized company pretty much. And see how Nuke Palma is just using a lot of grenadiers. At this point, I decided to get some of these hated guard infantry. Guard infantry are extremely good against. Well, first of all, they just look awesome. Let's turn the camera here. Like, look at that. These guys are amazing. So, one, they have bun vehicles, so they can pretty much bun up a Tiger or anything. Now, in the beta, they had anti-tank grenades. In the beta, they had anti-tank grenades, and that was that wasn't useful at all. So now they have a fragmentation grenade, which makes them excellent against infantry. Not to mention, if you upgrade them with the DP machine guns, these guys can be very good at anti-infantry. Now, at this point, I'm going to start losing my whole flank up here. I'm going to try to bring some conscripts up, but my machine gun I had to pull back. And I'm just refitting it, so now I bring it back to the front lines. Once again, I put these guys right here because I know the enemy cannot see them, and they have a wide range of this whole area. And at this point, my guys are actually not doing too bad, but I just gotta say, these guys with their, I'm like, let's test this micro. He just moved right away from that grenade there. I mean, it hurt some of his men, but it didn't kill him. And I'm impressed at how well my men are standing here, but they're pretty much flanked by 2 MG42s. I mean, I think it's very good that Nuke Papa upgraded his grenadiers. That makes him extremely effective. Now, if I was using cheap infantry like that, then yeah. So my conscripts were in a fight here. They were losing, so I put them into the house. Meanwhile, my MG is going to pull up. They're going to try to use. They're kind of teaming up on me right now. As you can see, this flank is pretty much being held by a machine gun, and that's their fuel. But there's a ton of fighting up here, so they're going to try to get our fuel, which doesn't really make sense because they're not even going for quick tanks here. Remember the 10-minute rule? That's like an official thing. I haven't made up. It's just true. Generally, players get tanks around 10 minutes or so. If they have Soviet industrial tactics, expect them around 6 minutes. So that's just a general rule. For the Germans, it has to be 10. Now they're using rifle grenades. They're trying to kill me. Now, one thing I didn't do very well was, I mean, obviously I have these support mortars up here, just destroying these guys. These guys are actually right in front of my machine gun, so they cut through some of this. When you look at that, realistically, they'd all be dead for how close they are. And explosions are happening, and I have to pull those guys back. And I really don't want to pull these guys back because they really need the support. And I think this one's actually going to go in here and kill some of these guys. Oh, that was his legs and his arm. This game is brutal, just like the Eastern Front was. So, because I didn't have anything guarding this road, I have to pull back my support weapons. So this is where I get kind of pushed back. Even have some guys here. Now, there's two thoughts of theory with the Russians for conscripts here. You can either get a ton of conscripts, like you'd see G-Spox is using a ton of well, of course I say that. G-Spox has a reasonable amount of conscripts under his command. Or at least had them in the beginning phases. Maybe some of them got killed. Yeah, his Veteran Z3-1 got killed, so he's going to clear out their mortar here. But you can either make a lot of conscripts, use cheap infantry, replace them. You can upgrade them with Molotovs, anti-tank. You can really upgrade your conscripts, be not too bad, actually. And, you know, they have their, what does the conscripts have? They have their Molotov, they have their anti-tank grenades. They can repair with your doctrines, and they have Hoorah. And they can also use tripwire. Yeah, it's like a flare. Cool. So G-Spox just manned that. They've taken our field away, which makes me extremely nervous. I put pretty much an MG here to stop any movement. I'm going to move it up also. So they... Mortar guy just ran off the map. So they've kind of fortified. They've shifted. They don't think they can do anything on this side. And they've shifted all their way down to my left side. Meanwhile, we're still holding the center. G-Spox doing a good job. He destroyed this house here. I think that was destroyed. That looks a little too unnatural, though, for a destroyed house. I don't really know. I believe it was destroyed, though, because I recall it's a big building on this map. So I threw I just missed it. My guard infantry threw a Molotov and, a fragmentation grenade and killed that whole squad. That's one thing I hate. You gotta watch when you're fighting guard infantry. This bundle, this fragmentation grenade is so much more effective than... Look at me starting to lay down some mines. It's so much more effective to throw that in the German Panzer Grenadier bundle grenade. So remember, when you want to counter this heavy infantry presence, mortars, MGs. And then you can always move up to tanks, because they're focusing a lot of their manpower on these. They finally built a tank thing up. As you can see, they're just really focusing on infantry. And guess what? 11 minutes, so a little bit off of my 10-minute rule. I'm a little slow today because I got a couple more MGs than I want. And I did not build any fuel caches because I was fighting a lot here. And I got a basic T-34 out. So now they don't have any packs up or anything, so the advantage is swung in my favor right here. Yeah, it must be G-Spox's mortar. I believe he stole... Yeah, he stole the German mortar there and is killing... Wow, look at that. This guy's so brave. And he might get away. Wow, those guys are horrible shots. Like, they threw a grenade at him, and... G-Spox was telling me in this match, you know, the church is a central point here. Meanwhile, I'm making my attack on this side. I was debating about using my fragmentation grenade here, but I decided against it. So they have a scout cart. Now, scout carts are only... This one actually is... I'm not sure if the German scout cars have been buffed, but we have a major attack coming in here, so... I need to get my mortar shifted down here, which I'm going to do shortly, but... Major, like... You don't really see Germans assaulting with grenadiers. Like, they need some kind of Panzer grenadiers or something if they're going to go this heavy on infantry. I don't even think they built a... I know one of them built a light mechanized company, but this guy, Smurf, just completely skipped it. So now they're taking back the center. We have snipers in the house. I'm not sure how I feel about that. Kind of good, but you can see they're in a house, so you can see them, and that's one of the best things about a sniper is the range. So G-Spox is probably going to lose his snipers who got killed. Meanwhile, with my engineers and my guard riflemen who are behind this getting some cover, it's directional, so maybe that guy is only getting buffed here, but these guys got slowed in the heavy snow, and we are doing pretty good. I do not have any, I have a machine gun here covering the road, and look at that, 120mm mortar, gotta love it. So, what I don't get is how the scout car is, like, apparently really good. Like, it's actually going to do a lot of damage to my guy there. So I'm taking back the north, and they've taken the center from G-Spox. G-Spox is regrouping with some infantry. I need to move these guys back up to the front, and I'm just going to start working on some tanks here. I'm about to get another one. As you can see, I'm kind of floating some manpower, so any second now I will get another one. I'm also going to try to get a half-track to help supply my troops in the front lines. Look at this guy. He's like, this machine gunner is like deadly. He's killed 6 Russians, and I got... like, totally destroying my guy. So I fired a shot. I'm surprised I didn't destroy it considering how light the armor is. And I retreat, and he almost wiped out my mortar, and thus it would have wiped out. It's pretty close to Veterans who won, so it would have wiped that out. So my goal is to kind of, secure this area. I'm going to put some barbed wire and mines around here with some of my engineers. After, of course, right now I'm going to start building some fuel caches. I'm very worried. I've not seen a ton of infantry from these guys lately. Juicebox is pretty good at fighting these guys actually in the urban surrounding with a lot of shock troops. Like, he really needed a lot more infantry than I did in this thing. And, of course my tank can help out, but there's a pack right here. So I'm like, oh my gosh, pack, pull back, pull back, pull back. And apparently the pack, if we look at this angle, the pack can apparently like see over that hedgerow, which I didn't think was very realistic. Now, I should have repaired this with my vehicle crew, but I don't have enough command points at this point, but I kind of forgot about that one. But you can see the shock troops here going against the grenadiers. These guys are in cover. They have an MG here. So I want to assist Juicebox here, but they have that anti-tank there, so I cannot get rid of that. I need to get rid of the anti-tank first, maybe throw a fragmentation grenade on it. But Juicebox's guys are getting killed in the middle of the street. You should really hop these guys just over the wall here to take full advantage of that cover. It'd be very dangerous if these guys got an MG or something in there. And when I pulled up my tank, and look, it's getting sniped by this thing. So I gotta pull it back even further. So now it's kind of like a death alley. I've kind of taken up more defensive positions up here. Left the north open, not too worried. Juicebox is now getting a... yes, a good old T-70 light tank. A lot cheaper. And then he's clearing out the MG and he's going to go right in. But he's going to try to clear out the MG and he's going to go right in to take out this pack, which would be very useful. So if we look, let's see, we're getting about 29 fuel per thing. These guys are getting... Look, they have like a lot of fuel they haven't used. I guess they're saving up for a Tiger. I mean, sorry, I'm a little tired here. A Panzer IV. So they have a lot of fuel, a lot of munitions. Smurf should really upgrade with the amount of munitions he has, especially this. Look how many Panzer Grenadier. Look how many Grenadier squads he has. He has 5 Grenadier squads and a Panzer Grenadier, and a second Panzer Grenadier squad. Now there's a thought of, yeah, I'll get some Panzer Grenadiers to help be anti-tank, and that is all well and good to get some Panzer Grenadiers to be anti-tank, which they're going to try to use here, and I'm actually going to make a blunder with some of my tanks coming up here. But this is a very interesting engagement here. So my guys are in this cover behind this barn here, and so I'm going to try to, they're just behind this really light cover here, and so, you know what I figure? I figure let's get rid of their cover, and I'll throw a grenade at them. So we're going to come out of our cover, toss a grenade, and it's going to go right on this, and it's going to blow up their cover. So now they have no cover here. Unbelievable, it's still light cover. And once I saw those guys get upgraded, I'm like, oh, why is my tank here? I'm like, wait a second, that's my tank. Better pull back. And they have a mortar, so I just have to pull back completely. I'm very worried about getting a T-34. Getting my T-34 wiped out. And these guys are still repairing, so I'm pretty weak along this front. At this point, I'm going to pull up my MG around right here to help. I got the MG here, and I also have another MG. So these Germans are going to run into a hail of MGs. Look at the crossfire on the street here. They're in the middle of negative cover. I don't care if they're Veteran C4. I mean, that's not a real thing. I don't care what Veteran they are. They're just getting utterly wiped out here. Look, these guys were even here if they moved up. So those guys just got absolutely wiped out. We have a mortar half-track here. I have another MG, so I'm kind of spamming MGs, which isn't a good thing. One thing I haven't done with the Russians consistently is I don't really like to build the field infirmary. I guess I'm kind of used to G-Spox helping me out there, which he does. So I got my half-track here. And unbelievable, this guy did like an incendiary barrage, I think. Let me just double check. No doctrine from one of those guys, yeah. He did an incendiary barrage, and that was very effective. So just keep in mind that your mortars shouldn't be too close, especially considering how close my mortars are. But keep in mind it's very good to have this kind of like this half track up here to help, obviously reinforce some troops, especially when they're near the front line. So I got another conscript after my previous one died. Now I'm going to start building some sandbags along the front here. Meanwhile, G-Spox has a half-track also. He's taken up the philosophy of that. His little T-70 is taking on some grenadiers here. This is still a strong hold. I would have gone like a mortar. I would have gone like my cone mortar or something and just started trying to shell this building, because that was their feel. Like, we could have taken that a little bit earlier. But keep in mind, Juicebox is not only holding this right flank, he's holding the town here also. And I'm really trying to, like, my goal is to kind of help protect his whole flank here and kind of cut them off over the bridge here. So I'm trying to help him hold the town either. So it's not like I'm just sitting back here, even though it kind of looks like that. But I have like a quick response, which is especially like stopping them from flanking his flank, stop them from flanking him over here with all my machine guns. Not to mention that my machine guns here are in heavy cover with my conscripts building all these. Now I'm building some defenses here, and that's when some pioneers come up. And look, I laid some mines down right here. Unfortunately, these guys are gonna have, the way they're moving, they're just gonna have this guy get blown up. Now, at this point, I'm getting a flamethrower because I saw them coming up, and I can just, I have like a quick response force here. Notice how the snow slows down your men? So the heavy snow will slow down your men, and then I got a flamethrower here, so that should pretty much wipe out his squad here. And I have, so I got a quick response force here. So as long as we hold the victory points, we're really starting to hurt these guys now. Juicebox has the you can actually use your half track with machine guns and stuff to just, destroy infantry. Look at that. I mean, because they call it like, I think it's like the nickname is like the meat grinder or something, but it's like the anti-air with all these 50 cals on them. I wonder if that'd be a fun job or whatever, but he's just utterly destroying those guys. And then a panzer comes. Very good shot actually there from Papa or whatever, because he actually was able to take that away and slow it down enough so that his Panzer IV can probably catch up to it. And look at these guys. Heavy anti-tank. These guys are expecting a tank rush or something. But I don't know why, but they let they're letting him get away right now. The negative thing about shock troopers is that they are not a pretty anti-tank. So this is a massive assault here. So I'm rushing my T-34s in to come help him out, because what kind of teammate would I be if my allies getting rushed here and not to help out? So I'm going to try to get rid of this Panzer IV here. And for some reason, my tanks just cannot take this Panzer IV down. I don't know what it is. Oh, and then I make a critical mistake. I get on the ice, and when you're on the ice and they're shooting anti-piercing rounds on you, you're going to sink. So I just lost both my tanks. Even though I would consider this the ice, but whatever. So I just lost both my tanks, so we're in a big world of hurt. These guys are pushing back. They have heavy infantry with anti-tanks. They've pretty much they pushed me back. I lost both my tanks. Juicebox has these guys that are under heavy attack, and they just kind of utterly pushed us back. Juicebox got his IS-152. Now that is something you don't want to sit on the ice, that's for sure. So I'm right now saving up. I mean, I have manpower and I'm floating fuel right now, so I'm saving up for the T-34-85s. And I got my conscripts here just kind of occupy the tanks, and we can slow this advance, which is starting to happen because Juicebox is like, you know what? He was telling me this in the game. I'm going to let these guys probably die in the church just to make sure they can't put a machine gun in here. That's the center part of town. He's also pinning down these Panzer Grenadiers. And meanwhile, I'm going to bring some of my guys over and just got to get rid of these Panzer Grenadiers because they are very deadly. As you can see, Juicebox's tank, I believe, is sniping. Oh, he is nice. He is sniping them from that far away. Obviously, you saw my tanks fall right through the ice, and it's not going to make that same mistake I did. So be very careful of the ice. I like this map even better in the... well, it's weird because it's the winter map, but there's no blizzards. Anyway, my 120mm mortar, we're targeting around this area. And on the retreat, I'm trying to get these guys as quickly off the ice as I can. My T-34-85 is going to come in. I just lost him on the fog of war, but I knew he was around here, so I'm just going to go ahead and take out that. I love the T-34-85s. They're obviously they have an 85mm gun, so that makes them pretty deadly. Obviously compared to the 76mm, I wonder how what caliber this one is. But by spinning in circles like this, he's trying to shoot and move. It doesn't really help when I have two tanks, does it? So at this point, I probably should have, pulled back here and used the self-crew, but I forgot about that. So you gotta remember that, I use 5 out of 6 of these things on my doctrine. I'm gonna use mark target later, I think. Or I use it at some point, or I may have already used it and just missed it. So his IS-152 has not killed anybody necessarily, but it damaged that tank pretty heavily. And now they have 2 points here, but they really have nothing right now. And they made Papa made a good use of this mortar half track here. But as you can see, victory points are kind of in our favor. I was like, I'm gonna look at this in the replay and go, why didn't I turn these tanks around? I will. So since I turn around the tanks, because we're not just gonna have our, I believe right here, that's fuel. I think that's extra fuel on the tank. So I really like coming in here as too, but I feel like lately it's just been all. I love how they're shooting their they stole like some Panzerschrecks. Or I stole a Panzerschreck. That's right. It seems like it's all about money lately. They're like coming out with all these new commanders, and I was having a lot of fun in this match and enjoying the XP. So I kind of didn't want it to end. So that's why I'm not kind of capturing that. Not to mention they got the mortar half track massacring me. And yeah, this is where I'm going to use mark target, I believe. Use mark target. All right, bun the vehicle. My tanks are coming up. I'm going to use mark target on this guy. And when on the mark target, get the tank the hell away from anything, because they're going to take an extreme amount of damage. It's lost its main gun and got destroyed by my T-34-85. I'm going to pull back because this pack here is like... So let's run me. That must be... How is that my plane? I don't have any plane in this doctrine. Oh, the mark target is a plane spinning around saying, yeah, it's a mark. I don't really know. Look at where he has the packs. I'm going to start throwing some anti-tank grenades. I'm going to pull back here. And Juicebox is going to do kind of like a bombing run, and this is perfect. Look at this. When you see red smoke, do not bring your troops up. Look at that. Look how many dead Germans are on the road. One, it totally destroyed this gun and wiped out 3 crew. Then these guys are somehow alive, but look at all the dead Germans. That is 3 grenadiers and 3 panzer grenadiers, and this guy just ran him over. He just ran over the wounded guy. He's like, you know what? It doesn't matter. So once again, he's a little upset. I got my machine gun here to kind of stop any incursion. He's a little angry here. So I'm going to pull out my T-34s, T-34-85s that is, try to get rid of them. Meanwhile, we still haven't captured this. We're kind of not caring a little bit. I kind of want the game to go on a little bit longer because I'm having fun, so might as well prolong it. But, oh, they even did, that's the railway gun. Whenever you hear something like that, you got to pull back. Something bad happened here because I was able to take out that, but my engine got damaged by this pack. So I'm trying to pull back. You can even see my guy going back here. So I lost a T-34-85. That made me really sad to see it because I love those tanks. So it was kind of sad to see that go, but we're going to punish this crew with these guys. They just ran back to my... The reason I didn't retreat earlier was you saw my one guy kind of run off. I pulled them back to my half track. And that's one of my few Veteran Z3 squads here. And we killed that crew, so we got him back. As you can see, part of the river is actually blowing up from that airstrike. That was very sweet. These guys are dropping left and right now, and I even left a DB and looks like a Panzerschreck. So once again, I'm pulling back, but since the tank is chasing me, I'm pretty beat up. I'm trying to pull back my tank even more. Once again, the game's not over, but at this point, I think our enemy's starting to realize they can't really win. Especially with that ISU 152 has such a long range to be able to stare down this choke point here. I mean, they can come over the ice. Your men just default to not go over the ice. The juice box is pulling back a little bit. That's one thing you have. Well, obviously, besides these Panzerschrecks coming after you. Wow, this guy's literally just got wiped out. We have that took a direct hit. Not to mention that my tank is shooting at him and the quad mount, so that got destroyed. If you can flank around this guy and just do circles because it doesn't have a turret, you can absolutely destroy it. So either way, at this point, I'm kind of thinking, the game's probably over, and they quit. So good game to our opponents. You can see the heavy MG and mortars to counter that heavy tier 1 start, and also getting some tanks out of it was able to make us have victory. Also, I built the fuel caches here, kept this fuel secure, and Juicebox did a great job in the town, so did all that urban warfare and fighting off them pretty well in the center. I held this flank pretty well over here too, and my 120mm mortar killed a lot of Germans. And I hope you enjoyed this Car T2 on Sample.